talk to a guy who was the all-time leading scorer for the Revs, an analyst for MLS Season Pass on Apple TV. He's Taylor Twellman. He joins us here on 98.5 The Sports. Up, Taylor. How you doing tonight?
Good. Still curious how there's shot. How many threes did the Seas shoot last night, Joe? 60?
60, yes, 60.
Oh, my God, dude. Just take a layup. Sorry.
You know
Anyways.
what's the soccer equivalent to that?
Having about 35 to 40 crosses and nobody in front of goal. It's like, at what point do you finally say, you know what, maybe it's not working, do something else?
Well, speaking of that, I like Caleb Porter. He's on every week here on the station. I know some of the guys that I work with, I know have a nice, healthy relationship with the guy, but what type of adjustments or tweaks has he made? Because I thought he might have been on the hot seat a little bit here, but looks like he might have made some switches to the back line there.
Yeah, it's a very good assessment, Joe. Honestly, I've known Caleb for 20-plus years, and there's never going to be a stone left unturned when he's assessing his team. He's looking to be the first coach to ever win an MLS Cup with 3 different teams. So he's won before, and he's done it by making sure he crosses his T's, dots his I's. And I agree with you. Listen, this team struggled to score goals early on. It's not as if they're scoring a ton of goals now, but I think what was understated in part to people, myself and others that were looking at the goal-scoring woes, is the fact that they've set a franchise record for the best start in franchise history defensively. They're very difficult to play against. And what was interesting to me is Caleb Porter, when he came into Major League Soccer, Joe, for those of you listening, he came from college soccer, went into Major League Soccer, went into Portland, and he was very bold and brash, would like to win a game the way Inter and Barca ended up, where it's 3-2, 7-6, however you want to do it. As he's gotten older, I don't want to say more pragmatic, but maybe a little bit more, we don't need to go for broke for the entire year. We got to make sure we've got a good foundation. And honestly, the Revs right now, what have they won? 4 in a row, 5 of 6. I'd say their foundation's pretty good.
Hey, maybe a playoff race is in store here. What's going on with their defense, though? They got a streak going on right now. Fewest goals allowed in the MLS right now. They're riding a nice little shutout streak, pitching shutouts right now.
It's amazing, too, when you think about it, because I think a lot of us on the outside looking in, we're looking at the money spent on the attacking players and the names that they brought in and said, oh, this may be a Caleb Porter team of old, and yet he's really gone to guys that are just fundamentally doing whatever it takes to win. They're not boring to watch. So I don't want to say that they're defending for their lives and just trying to do anything and everything they can to defend. But as a foundation, they're making sure they build out from the back to front. They've done a real good job. They've got young kids. You know, one of these fullbacks, Joe, it's really important that your listeners understand. He's a local kid, grew up in Hartford. He's been an academy player. There's going to be scouts in Europe this summer that are going to probably offer $9 million plus for him. They're going to have to make a decision in Peyton Miller this summer, but he's got a couple young kids, Feingold's on the other side. They've just got some guys that are putting in the work. Now, in saying that, you're going to call me in 3 or 4 months and then ask me, can they win MLS Cup? The only way they win MLS Cup is if they get Campana scoring goals and Thomas Chonkalai contributing. You can't rely on Carlos Hill to do everything. So they're going to have to be a little bit more balanced going forward. But right now, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that's talking about their defensive shape and their defensive structure.
Yeah, Taylor, this is Skaz here, Joe's producer. And you kind of just touched on a couple of things I wanted to ask you. But you mentioned Peyton Miller there, the 17-year-old. And, you know, this is kind of something the Revs fans have had to, and I don't want to say deal with because it's awesome that they find these guys, but your Matt Turners, your Tajon Buchanans, guys that, you know, come up, through the team, play well, and then get, sold to these bigger clubs. Do you think that Peyton Miller is such a special talent that, he is going to be one of these short-term guys for the Revs because he is just that talented? Someone is going to blow them away with an offer?
I mean, Skaz, here's the thing. Peyton holds all the cards, right? Now, I think the Revs unequivocally will say, listen, to whoever comes in with an offer, and if the offer is a can't refuse offer, they're going to ask to do it in the wintertime when he ultimately makes his move. And majority of the teams around the world will allow that, especially for a 17-year-old player. He's talented. There's a profile there that is still very raw, but he's got some real stuff that translates to the Bundesliga, that translates to the Premier League. And guys, here's what I'll say, because there was once a time when the all-time leading goal scorer was offered the second most for an American player, and the Revs said no. And that player's career ended 6 months later. The reason why I bring that up is you got to be understanding of where you are in the world market. And I think the best marketing tool in the world for the Revs is Tajon Buchanan, Matt Turner, Peyton Miller, and whoever you can move on from, because all it's going to do is open up the next kid to come through. But more so, you're now going to be able to go to South America, Western Europe, and say, look, you can come to Major League Soccer and play for the Revs and further your career. That's been the transcending factor, I think, for Major League Soccer over the last 5-6 years. I get the Revs fans saying, hang on a minute, are we really going to sell Peyton Miller this summer? I don't think you sell him this summer where he's off the team, but I do think an offer is going to come in where everybody is going to have to say, yeah, he probably needs to do this.
Makes me feel a little bit better. I just want to see the kid, play here for as long as possible. But obviously, long term for the Revs, it makes sense to get as much as possible and reinvest.
Look at Noel Buck, right? Like, they didn't strike when the iron was hot. Some of that was Buck and his family. Some of that was England versus the U.S., and now he moves to San Jose. Yes, they keep a percentage sell-on fee, all of that. But there was once upon a time where people were calling, and talking anywhere from $4 to $6 million, and they've got nothing from Buck since that point, right? So it's not – nobody's going to bat 1,000 in the world in this. However, you got a 17-year-old kid, and if Premier League clubs are calling, they're not going to blink an eye when you say, yeah, it's got to be $9.5, $10 million plus. Yeah, that's a hard one not to turn down.
Could the Revs ever be upset that they're a stepping stone organization?
No, it's a great question, because if that's the case, then to your point, Santos is in Brazil. You know what I mean? Like, all of South America would be that case, and you're not. Joe, the simplest way for the non-soccer person to understand this is, once upon a time, when Diego Maradona was playing, England wasn't the best league in the world. It was Italy. It's an ever-evolving turnstile on who is the best league in the world and where it is. But the common denominator is where? Western Europe. And so what happens is, in the world market, because every single player is an asset versus every American league where you can trade the rights to the players and the players don't have rights, you're not really a stepping stone. You're just a player in the world market. Who's to say 15 years from now, Major League Soccer is in a top 7 league in the world? So, Joe, like, that can change, but that doesn't mean Manchester United, Arsenal, and these clubs with Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, 100 years of history, right now they are the ones that are at the top of the pecking order, and you're just trying to have a piece of the pie. Joe, 10 years ago, Major League Soccer didn't have a piece of that pie. Now they're exporting over $200 million worth of players every 6 to 8 months. That is an amazing amount of progress when you talk about the development of the league.
Yeah, Taylor, I just wanted to ask, tomorrow the Revs are going to play Rhode Island FC.
I love it.
Yes, in the U.S. Open Cup. Kind of a team that was founded in 2019 but didn't begin playing until last year. We're good in the USL. I think they lost in the championship final. Could this be like the start of, I know they're not going to play MLS games, but could this be the start of, maybe a little rivalry, or just to have another team that close to the Revs? Do you think it elevates the Revs, or, and it elevates Rhode Island? This is something that I think they've kind of needed.
No doubt in my mind, man. I mean, listen, Providence, Rhode Island is very, very under the radar when it comes to the culture of soccer and football around the world, and they are massive in their fan base and love for the sport. They've done a great job. Former teammate of mine is the head coach. Another former teammate of mine is in the ownership group. It's important. Listen, the more we talk about it, you've got Portland, Maine now, having a team that's in the 3rd division within the U.S. landscape in the Hearts of Pine. The more we've got going, it's great. It's important for the New England Revolution, because ultimately when that stadium is built and that becomes the Mecca in the 1st division of the United States of America, where everyone then in this area is trying to strive to be and to beat and all of that, I think tomorrow night's going to be fantastic. I think there's going to be a spotlight on Providence, Rhode Island that should have been there years years ago when I was playing, but now it's here. They've got their own stadium. It's a big game. It's a huge game for them. The Revs obviously want to win a trophy, so the lineup's going to be intriguing to me, what Caleb Porter brings out. He has said he's going to rotate players. But, yep, to your point, absolutely. It's massive for the sport, and it's great, that it's happening a year before the World Cup.
All right, talking about Taylor Twellman, who is one of the lead analysts on Apple TV, which I was going to mention to you, Taylor. This is how I associate with soccer. Again, I like to bet on the sport. I know I can watch it on Apple TV. The other thing is I work at a card shop it's at Gillette, and Kevin Sullivan just walks in one day. Like, nobody, not a lot of these guys know who they are, but he's a card fan. We realized it. He tweets it out. They tweet it out. And then today, Skaz and I are off the high of this Barcelona, game today. This thing was nuts. And you've talked about Peyton Miller. We talked with Eli Feingold a couple of weeks ago. But this Lamine Yamal is the greatest athlete I think I've ever seen in my life. And like, what, I have all his cards right now. So I'm hanging on to these bad boys because I think they're going to be worth some big boys. But just, can you tell our listeners how amazing this guy is?
I don't know, and I say this with full intention. I don't know if we'll ever see the Messi versus Ronaldo type of era that we saw. We will see players as good as them, but I don't know at the same time, Joe. I really don't. When Lamine came up, and this was, I'm going to say 2019, but there was an under 14. It may have been under 15, but that's besides the point for your listener. It's just important to know that people around the world were talking about this kid, the next Barcelona great. And then all of a sudden, he plays in the European Championships last year, and this picture's floating around. When he got baptized, his mom and dad had Messi take a photo with him. And the photo with Messi and Lamine Yamal was floating around the world in social media. Why do I bring that up? Because there is just such an irony that the greatest of all time, when he comes to Major League Soccer, his jersey's the number one selling jersey in the world, and everyone's talking about the passing of the torch, the passing of the baton, and it is not Kylian Mbappe. It's Lamine Yamal, this young kid playing in the European Championships at 16 for Spain, now for Barcelona at 17. As long as, and I say this, as long as this, fingers crossed, as long as he doesn't get hurt, we're talking about what could be top 10 greatest players ever, because everything he's done up to this point is identical to what Messi did at Barcelona when he came up. And so that's when, Joe, you look at it and say, well, I don't know if we get Messi versus Ronaldo ever again, two players of that quality at the same time, but we are going to get a glimpse of something. And Lamine would be the guy over Kylian Mbappe. And I know that may be at the moment right now a little sacrilegious, but the truth is, what you guys watched today, what you guys have watched over the last 12 months, the kid just turned 17. 17, and he's running the show for Barcelona in a Champions League semifinal at Milan. That says it all.
It was the game was electric today. And again, I bet on it. I hardly know who the guys are. I usually lean on Skaz, and I'm like, hey, man, what do I do here? What do you think here? But that one today was something special.
I mean, the total, what was it? I think total goals was 4.5, and they out-hit it.
7. That's right. We love betting the over. We absolutely love it. Hey, before I let you go, I got to ask you this. You got anything on this Bill Belichick, Jordan Hudson thing?
Oh. I can't believe we're actually talking about it. Yeah, I don't. The only thing I got for you would be probably not suited for this radio show.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm struggling with that one. Here's the thing, Joe. I'm going to put my professional hat on and answer that question. How ironic that Bill Belichick in PR in press conferences, that was who he was for 20 some odd years as an NFL coach. Now you need a 24-year-old's opinion on how to answer a question? Now?
I knew you'd have something for us. I don't know why. I feel like you have more, but I'll leave it at that. How about that? Well, I'm sure you have more, maybe we can catch up on it in a couple of months here.
I think that video that was floating around in South Boston, I think I now know whose apartment that was. I'll leave you with that.
All righty there. He's Taylor Twellman. We love talking to you, Taylor. Let's do it again in a couple of. I know with a messy game, everyone's all excited about it. We'll hopefully catch up with you. Good luck over at Apple TV, and we love talking to you, man.
You got it, boys. Thanks for talking the sport. I appreciate you.
You got it. He's Taylor Twellman, everybody.